It's Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. Charlie Kirk honored at the White House. It's payday in the federal government, and Barack Obama has some thoughts about old-fashioned values next on the AM Update. On what was to be his 32nd birthday, the late Charlie Kirk was honored at the White House yesterday, being presented the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously. His wife, his widow, Erica, was at the event as well. President Trump said he wouldn't have missed it for the world.
But I raced back halfway around the globe. I was going to call Erica and say, Erica, could you maybe move it to Friday? And I didn't have the courage to call.
It has been a very busy week for President Trump, who reminded those in attendance and the rest of America just what Charlie Kirk meant to America and the millions he influenced.
Charles James Kirk was a visionary and one of the greatest figures of his generation. He was truly an amazing figure and growing leaps and bounds. He knew that the fight to preserve our heritage is waged not only on the battlefield and in the halls of power, of which we have tremendous power here, including the head of a place called War. We call it now War. We had Defense. We had our Secretary of Defense. Now we have a Secretary of War. And somehow I think it's more emblematic, and hopefully we'll never have to use war. But the fact that we're ready is very good. Peace through strength is very important. But also in the hearts of our nation's youth. That's where Charlie rode strongest.
Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, also addressed the crowd.
Honestly, President Trump, I have spent 7.5 years trying to find the perfect birthday gift for Charlie. And it's so difficult. And those of you that have spouses or loved ones, you know how difficult it is sometimes to buy a gift for someone that you love. Because he wasn't a materialistic man, so that also did not help. But now I can say with confidence, Mr. President, that you have given him the best birthday gift he could ever have.
Erica Kirk also gave everyone a poignant reminder of just what she, her family, and this entire nation lost.
And before I close, I'll share with you that I asked our daughter what she would like to say to Daddy for his birthday. Excuse me. She said, "Happy birthday, Daddy. I want to give you a stuffed animal. Oh, man. I want you to eat a cupcake with ice cream, and I want you to go have a birthday surprise. I love you," is what she said. And while our son is precious, he can't yet speak, in classic Kirk family fashion, his actions spoke louder than his words. And his gift to you, Charlie, and myself for that matter, was deciding to become the man of the house and be fully potty trained at 16 months.
Just a poignant reminder of what this country lost and the steep price that the Kirk family is paying. Also a reminder of just how far gone anyone who would make light of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the martyrdom of Charlie Kirk, a reminder of just how far gone a soul must be to do such things. Also, we got a reminder yesterday that being in the United States on a visa is a privilege. As we learned, Secretary of State Marco Rubio revoked the visas of foreign nationals who mocked, justified, or made fun of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Those visa holders were from Argentina, Brazil, Germany. There's a filmmaker from Germany's state television station, actually. Mexico, Paraguay, South Africa. No place for visa holders who come here and mock the assassination of a citizen of the United States. So good for Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who, during that meeting in Egypt to sign the Gaza peace agreement, reminded everyone just how big the stakes are and what the president accomplished this week.
This is clearly, in my mind, I think in the mind of everyone in this room, probably one of the most important days for world peace in 50 years. And that's not an exaggeration.
Only 50?
Maybe 100. Since the end of World War II.
There is Marco Rubio and President Trump saying this might be the biggest day, the most momentous moment for world history, world peace, since perhaps World War II. That's pretty high praise. Also, President Trump posted on Truth Social yesterday, quote, "All 20 hostages are back and feeling as good as can be expected. A big burden has been lifted, but the job is not done. The dead have not been returned as promised. Phase 2 begins right now." So that is something to keep an eye on. All of the 20 living hostages were males. Keep that in mind. Back at home, President Trump at the Oval Office, actually in the meeting room at the White House, says today is payday for much of the federal government, including our troops. A lot of people wondering what the plan is when it comes to Secretary of War Hegseth and President Trump for paying the troops. Here's what Trump has to say.
Shutdown. You have the money to pay the troops on October 15th? Okay.
I actually have a man who is a very wealthy person. You'll know that when I tell you this, who called a donor, a great gentleman, and he said, if there's any money necessary, shortfall, for the paying of the troops, that I will pay it, meaning he will pay it. How about that? I said, look, we're not going to need it. We're going to take care of our troops, but this was a position that's being forced upon us by Democrats.
There's President Trump at the White House yesterday saying not only have they identified funds to be able to pay the troops, he's got people coming out of the woodwork, wealthy donors coming out of the woodwork, willing to offer their assistance with any shortfall. Now, that's a lot of money, but they seem to be confident they have the money to pay the troops. That is angering one Democrat congresswoman by the name of Madeleine Dean. Here she is on CNN.
How do you feel about these paychecks going out during the shutdown? I don't think anyone's opposed to people being paid, but people look at this and say this could actually extend the shutdown because it takes out some of the pressure points that might exist that would lead Democrats and Republicans to come together.
Oh, you know what? Of course I want our military paid. Of course I want federal law enforcement officers to be paid. There's a way to do that. I'm an appropriator. We should have passed appropriations bills. There's a way to run a government, and this is not the way to run a government.
So trying your best to actually pay the troops because your own party won't just fund a clean continuing resolution is, quote, not the way to do it, according to Congresswoman Madeleine Dean. Gotta follow every jot and tittle, she says. Moving on, federal law enforcement officials suspect Mexican criminal organizations are funding a scheme to pay thousands of dollars in cash bounties for the killing of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents, with payouts allegedly increasing based on an employee's rank and actions. The Department of Homeland Security on Tuesday announced the alleged bounty system offers $2,000 for gathering intelligence or doxing agents, including photos and family details, $5,000 to $10,000 for kidnapping or non-lethal assaults on standard immigration officers, and up to $50,000 for the assassination of high-ranking officials. DHS wrote in a post on X, quote, under President Trump and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, every criminal, terrorist, and illegal alien will face American justice. So a bounty system on the part of narco-terrorists in Mexico. Meanwhile, the U.S. military conducted yet another strike on a boat allegedly trafficking drugs off the coast of Venezuela. The U.S. military conducted yet another strike, killing 6 people on Tuesday. Trump said the vessel was affiliated with a designated terrorist organization. Trump said on his Truth Social platform, quote, intelligence confirmed the vessel was trafficking narcotics, was associated with illicit narco-terrorist networks, and was transiting along a known DTO route. The strike was conducted in international waters, and 6 male narco-terrorists aboard the vessel were killed in the airstrike. No U.S. forces were harmed. So, the war on narco-terrorists, not the war on drugs, the war on narco-terrorists continues. That is good news. Quickly before the break, allegedly somebody, this is just an awful story all the way around. Politico got their hands on a group chat of some young Republicans. To my knowledge, this was just basically a group of young right-wingers just posting. Yes, there were some spicy things that were said, some things that are, in my book, reprehensible, but they were leaked to media, to Politico, allegedly by another conservative who blackmailed a member of this group into leaking them to the media. That's just awful. Vice President J.D. Vance had the perfect response to this story, reminding us about the text messages from AG candidate for Virginia, Jay Jones, the Democrat, who wished death upon the family of a Republican lawmaker a few years ago. So J.D. Vance, again, there is no moral equivalency between wishing death on political opponents and their families and spicy group chats. Spicy and offensive though they may be. Former President Barack Obama, in the middle of an interview where he bitterly clings to his lost power and legacy, also has some thoughts about quote-unquote old-fashioned values. We also hear some real old-fashioned values. Once again from Erica Kirk. That's coming up next.
So much of our culture now, so much of what we teach our kids is geared around buying stuff and having stuff and posting it on Instagram and then...
Right, it's winning to some people.
Right. Winning is now defined solely by material goods, how much you got, and to some degree fame. That's become another currency, right?
Right.
And I do think part of what our conversation needs to be more about is, and it used to come out of the church or the stories we told our kids, was this sense of, no, you know what, character matters, honesty matters, community and family and loyalty and kindness matters. Those are the stories that's part of our political project, right? Is reaffirming that stuff. I mean, I think you were asking how I navigated some of these conflicts, and I'd get attacked from the right and I'd get attacked from the left. One way I did that was trying to tell people what I really thought. But, the other thing was I actually had some pretty old-fashioned values, even if I had, progressive or newfangled ideas.
Yeah.
If I talked about trans issues.
I wanted to play that in context. Former President Barack Obama on the Mark Maron podcast, waxing eloquent about, hey, character matters. We shouldn't be materialistic. The church used to teach these values. I'd get attacked by the left and the right for my old-fashioned values. And let me tell you about some old-fashioned values. We shouldn't be talking down to the trans folk.
I wasn't talking down to people. And
so there it is. Old-fashioned values. Surprise, surprise from former President Barack Obama. Means we got to affirm the mentally ill. Not a surprise. Dude is a psychopath who is just utterly bitter about how President Trump, for the most part, has dismantled his legacy, if not codified all the way. The very presence of President Trump in the White House for the second time, after all of that water under the bridge, is a very affront to the presidency, the legacy of Barack Obama. Well, let's go down to Arkansas, shall we? A man accused of killing his daughter's rapist is running for sheriff. The same sheriff's office that arrested him last October. Aaron Spencer of Lonoke County, Arkansas, says he's running because the legal system has failed. Listen to this.
Hello, Lonoke. My name is Aaron Spencer. Many of you know my story. I'm the father who acted to protect his daughter when the system failed. I'm also a husband, a combat veteran of the 82nd Airborne Division, a contractor, and a farmer. And through my own fight for justice, I have seen firsthand the failures in law enforcement and in our circuit court. And I refuse to stand by while others face these same failures. That's why I'm announcing my candidacy to run for Lonoke County Sheriff. This campaign isn't about me. It's about every parent, every neighbor, every family who deserves to feel safe in their homes and safe in their community. It's about restoring trust, where neighbors know law enforcement is on their side, and families know that they will not be left alone in a moment of need. Together, we can build a safer, stronger Lonoke County for every family.
That is Aaron Spencer of Lonoke County, Arkansas, running for sheriff. He's accused of killing his daughter's rapist. Back in 2024, Spencer woke up to find his 14-year-old daughter missing from her bed. According to court documents, Spencer began searching the neighborhood and found his daughter in a car with a 67-year-old by the name of Michael Fosler. Spencer chased Fosler's car down, drove it off the road before shooting and killing Fosler. Fosler was facing over 40 child sex crime charges involving Spencer's daughter when he was shot. According to Spencer's wife, that her daughter was targeted, groomed, and ultimately raped by the boyfriend of a family friend. And there you heard Aaron Spencer declaring his candidacy for Lonoke County Sheriff in Arkansas. I just want to say I totally support what this man did. I also think that he needs to face a jury of his peers. Am I wrong for that? You can make up whatever you want, make up your case whatever you want to justify or not justify what he did. But the dude was in the car with his daughter. So yes, you're going to protect your daughter. And yeah, you're taking the law into your own hands, so you do need to face justice. Our system has recourse for this. You can face a jury of your peers. But when it comes to protecting your family, that's your job. So be curious to know what you think at Real AM Update on X. Finally, let's end with this. Back at the White House yesterday, here is the widow of Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk, who affirms that freedom, true freedom, cannot exist without Christ. She made these comments as she accepted the Presidential Medal of Freedom on behalf of her late husband.
Presidential Medal of Freedom reminds us that the national interest of the United States has always been freedom. Our founders etched it into the preamble of our Constitution, and those words are not relics on parchment. They are a living covenant. The blessings of liberty are not man's invention, they are God's endowment. Charlie lived for those blessings, not as abstract words, but as sacred promises. He used to love to journal about this topic all the time, and with such a heart postured of gratitude. And he believed that liberty was both a right and a responsibility. And he used to say, freedom is the ability to do what is right without fear. And that's how he lived. He was free from fear. He was free from compromise, free from anything that could enslave his soul. His name, Charles, literally means free man. And that's exactly who my husband was. He was a free man. And from the time I met him, sitting across from him, being interviewed on politics and philosophy and theology, anything that Charlie loved, any topic he loved, and I just saw the fire in his soul, and there was this divine restlessness within him that came from knowing God placed him on this earth to protect something very, very sacred for all of us. And he never stopped fighting for people to experience freedom. He didn't. Charlie often said that without God, freedom becomes chaos.
Amen. Erica Kirk, the widow of the martyred Charlie Kirk. Without God, freedom becomes chaos. Without God, old-fashioned values become, we must affirm the mentally ill. Without God, we have disordered priorities, where man could go to prison for protecting his daughter from a rapist. Without God, we can't pay those who protect our country because not every jot and tittle and codicil of process was followed, because a political party won't just fund a simple continuing resolution. Without God, up is down and left is right. Wrong is right. I continue to be blown away with the courage and strength of Erica Kirk. God bless her. God bless their 2 children. God bless the Kirk family. And I think it's appropriate to end where we began today's episode. Hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. Back at it again tomorrow. I'm Aaron McIntyre, and this is the AM Update.